our own consciousness, our experience has been misinterpreted as the outside coming in. So when we get here, we all of a sudden think, oh, well then we must have power over here.
Yeah.
The external. And that's where we learn about power and control. That's where we play all of those games of manipulation and manifestation, so that we can figure out eventually, and hopefully it's really quick, that we make those choices to transmute all of that with enthusiasm, so that we can move through it into pain and actually see both sides.
Yeah,
We haven't started actually yet, Tom, we're just talking. It's not quite 9 o'clock yet.
because you could get that high here and get stuck.
This is because it's very seductive.
Right,
Because here we are now experiencing a lot of power.
yeah. Well, you know, what I liked, I mean, and I guess I still like, but I know now what I liked about being angry, was it made you powerful.
Right.
And
That's
even
the
if I
seduction
didn't-
that we were talking
Even
about.
if I didn't have all that power over the outside,
Yes.
I still felt powerful.
Yes.
And I liked it.
Well, sometimes the power is in withdrawal. That's very powerful.
Yes.
If I can withdraw from all these people and all this environment and all this,
Oh, yeah.
and be, I can be in my own power.
Right.
And go suck eggs. That sort of thing. Good morning. Somehow I thought that was pink.
No. Yellow.
I'd be in the camera.
What's the camera mean?
You'd be in the camera.
Oh, here comes Linda.
Rose, will you come over here?
Wait a minute, we need a short one chair.
I'll go do a chair.
I get it.
And I added something to the pad.
Exactly. Thank you. I was hoping that you would think that.
I knew you were hoping you would.
I didn't know you would know I was
I never had a thought at all.
I could give her a rat's.
I know that was That's what happened to Napoleon. He was an initiate, and Saint Germain was training him. And then all of a sudden, he said one day he couldn't see me anymore, and he would not change.
Yes.
And then he went out and tried to conquer the world.
Right. He got into that power of anger
Right.
and wanted to. And,
Yeah.
there's the list goes on.
Yeah.
As you know, Hitler was a very spiritual being.
Right. Yeah. Right.
Watch your hair there.
Oh, God.
And even the swastika, the teaching of the swastika, he took that from Eastern tradition.
Right.
As a power symbol.
Yes.
And, he wanted, he got into the level of anger. And, my gosh, what manifestation on planet Earth to show us what anger can do. Good morning!
Good morning. Wow, the whole gang is here.
The gang's all here.
Except Rose.
Yeah, right. That's right.
How was your drive?
Good. I drove up to Kitchener.
I figured that's what you did.
Yeah, so it's safe.
quicker this
Trying to get out
morning.
of Toronto and early.
Yeah, that's
so,
good thinking.
Yeah, so 2 hours from
No,
Kitchener.
I'm not in the way.
So,
Somebody sitting here?
this is for you.
Okay, let's go use the washroom quick.
You're right on time. Yeah, so what a great showing for us.
The Hitler thing.
When we come up into anger,
Yeah.
of how that can be made manifest here on the earth. You see? And we want to label it this, that, and the other thing, but really all it is anger. Yeah, it's anger in action. And the more powerful we present ourselves in anger, the more people beneath anger will buy into it. All the people in victim consciousness that want to be led.
And that's what Hitler did, didn't he? He just got up there and.
All leaders do it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
I can guarantee you that all leaders on planet Earth at this moment are vibrating in anger.
Okay.
Yeah.
Even
And
though
if-
like, a guy like Obama doesn't really
Right.
come across that way.
Exactly. But everybody, I will guarantee you, all leaders, all beings presenting themselves as leaders
Mhm.
of countries
Mhm.
and religions are in anger. Yeah.
Believe it.
Because if they aren't, they wouldn't be in that position. They would be teaching from a place like Jesus taught.
Interesting.
Jesus never took a position of a leader,
Right.
Right,
as you know.
yeah.
Yeah. So if they're putting themselves, careful with my words here. If they are putting themselves in a leadership position where they want followers, where they want beings beneath them that they can have power and control over,
Mhm.
they are coming from a place of anger.
Tom Senior.
Tom Senior.
Founded our place.
Uh-huh.
His besetting sin, I mean, the thing after his addictions and so forth, was anger.
Uh-huh.
And
Yeah.
he acknowledged it, but it didn't help a lot.
He
Well,
I'm sure it did
until,
help some.
and the teaching that I got this morning was that when we get to this place, when we get to that anger where we really have this full-blown, and we all have to go through it, every single person going upscale in emotions. And if we're continuing on the body electronics process, you can guarantee yourself that you will get to the place of full-blown anger eventually. The thing that we have to be very, very, very aware of in that is that what we just talked about is the seduction,
Mhm.
okay, the manipulation of our outer environment, and to know that that's only a stopping place and we can stay there as long as we choose. And the level of enthusiasm that goes with the anger here is just the right amount when we choose to access that to transmute all of that power and control into truth,
Mhm.
so it doesn't become manipulation and outer looping
Mhm.
of the outer world. That's the loop, that's the seductive loop in anger.
Mhm.
And people can stay in that seductive loop for eons of time. They come back into a new little body and they can start all over again. And those beings are very powerful.
The ones that are the bankers, you know, the
Banksters.
Rothschilds and the
Oh, yes.
and the Rockefellers.
Yes, yes, yes. Uh-huh.
They've been incarnating since
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Maria.
yeah. And
And
they actually know, they're
Yeah.
conscious enough
Yeah.
to know that they're going to incarnate
Right.
again, and they're setting it up for the next
Exactly.
incarnation.
Same family, same group of
Yeah.
souls.
You know, we can add the royalty into that little
Right.
group.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
And that was another thing that came to my consciousness this morning. Please don't get sucked down the garden path with all this royalty nonsense. Because you can guarantee that when everybody's in their happily ever after program and watching all of this stuff that we're being bombarded with in the media, with all this marriage crap, that there's an underlying force that's taking place that's screwing us over, and we aren't aware of it until it's all over and done with.
Yeah.
And we're like, we were off in La La Land watching a marriage.
What's the marriage crap?
The William and,
William.
what's her name?
This is Canada.
Oh, you're not-
my email, it's like
Oh,
what
it's
she's
plastered.
wearing. She's just like, oh.
It's in the United States
Oh, sure.
media. Yeah,
Yeah, I don't even really
Magazine
follow
racks.
it.
yeah, on every magazine,
That's
right?
where
They're
I've seen it,
pasting,
at least.
yeah. But you open up your email, it's there, it's everywhere.
Yeah.
And just be aware that this is, this is consciousness leading people in lower levels of emotion down the garden path.
It's
Yeah.
black magic. It's actually.
We can call it that,
Yeah.
but it's anger.
Oh, I see.
It's
Yeah,
p-
yeah.
it's
In this
anger
system,
being,
Right, right,
it's anger made manifest.
right,
And we can choose to participate in it or not.
right.
What do you mean by garden path?
The unconscious like we're being unconsciously led, we're choosing that.
Mhm.
When we're choosing to be in the lower emotion and not moving forward, especially when we're given opportunity to do so, if we're choosing that, we're being led down the garden path of our own choosing.
It looks pretty.
Again,
And it feels pretty,
Mhm.
yeah.
talking about, you mentioned that the leader is there because of his anger and his, but all the people under him
Yes.
exhibit the same characteristic or something, I don't know what you said exactly.
Well, no, we're fitting into the pattern perfectly.
Of being-
In our
Being
victim
victims.
consciousness,
Yeah.
we're fitting into that perfectly, and we're going, oh yes, please lead me,
Yes.
dear master.
Again,
Please
this
lead
is-
me.
this
Or
is-
please kill me.
Yeah, or just tell me what to do, because,
I can't think for myself.
right, I can't, I'm just the poor little victim here, and then when we get to the level, this is what we have to forgive ourselves for when we get above the heart, because at that place, we realize what we've done, we realize all the positions we've put ourselves in, and the perfect pattern we allowed. There's no conspiracy out there,
Mhm.
Right.
except the one that we fit into.
Mhm.
It's a
Yeah.
universal.
Now,
So here's the thing that this is leading us to, and I see Mickey is twigging to the same thing. This is the thing we couldn't get free of in our community.
Right.
That we were attracted to this man. I was sent to
Which
that,
man?
Tom Power Senior,
The leader,
who
yeah.
started our
Yeah.
community. I was sent to that man. I just know I was. And
Yes.
then I had this experience that was just wonderful and horrendous all at the same time, and ended up being so angry at the whole thing.
We all-
And
It took you all to the
blaming-
level of anger.
and blaming him. And so this
point.
Yeah.
is the thing where we're all struggling.
Yes.
We're all
Well, that's a good point, because when we get to the level of anger as well, before, you see, if we admit that this is our own
Well,
manifestation, our own responsibility,
Yeah, we chose it,
then
right, yeah.
we go through, and we enthusiastically encompass all of those memories that we had all the resentment about, and all of
Yeah.
the, and then if we truly admit to ourselves that this is our own manifestation for our own growth,
Uh-huh.
then enthusiastically embrace it and love and forgive everything about it, we pop into pain.
wow.
The thing that has occurred with our little group of six, in the midst of this environment and this kind of history, was that when we came together in this sort of surprising to all of us way, was one thing that came up was consensus as a way of going, where we'd had this, monarchical or whatever you call it, patriarchal thing for all
Tyrannical.
these years. And also that in our dealing with each other, we've pretty much been able to exclude anger as a way of doing business. And,
Okay, well, you're going to have to include it at some point.
Yeah.
You're going to have to include it. And that's what Bert and I were discussing this morning, that's where things get tricky,
sure.
Uh-huh.
when we include anger. Because there's no skipping it. We can suppress it and make it all seem very,
Uh-huh.
very interdependent and very consensus and community, perfection. But yet, when we include anger and come to all of our issues around that, that's when we have to be our own masters. That's really, and that's when things can, turn into a hornet's nest sometimes for a little while. But if we can maintain our truth about just passing through anger, and the others that are around us simply not becoming personally involved,
Right.
Right.
where they support you in that. They support you in that, and have a good laugh. Even go, and just support you and intensify that anger, enjoy it. I remember when I was going through like some really strong anger in the early part of my body electronics process, and I wanted to engage Doug. I was like, come on, I want to, and I really just wanted to engage Doug. And Doug would just look at me and go, enjoy it.
Listen, I have to tell you.
Are you gonna talk about the experience you had?
No, I'm gonna tell about Dennis yesterday on the table. God bless him, he was talking about all this stuff that was going on in the community, and I've been there. I did it, I lived through it, I saw it. And I never did say it to Dennis, but I said, I thought to myself, this is very funny.
Yeah.
I mean, I just wanted to start laughing.
That's
Just because, there we were, we're all. Finally, I realized on my table experience yesterday, I did it. I did it.
And you went in, I watched you go into some emotional pain.
Okay.
And that's when that happens, when you realize I'm responsible
I
for
did.
everything that.
And I blamed everybody, 24/7.
And sometimes that blaming is unconscious
Oh,
too.
I'm
Like in the
sure.
lower emotions that we're in blame. I mean, we're in ultimate blame when we're playing the victim.
Yep.
We're in ultimate blame because we're allowing everything around us, our environment, to manage our actions.
Right.
And, you know, so that's like the ultimate blame in a sense. Mhm.
I was thinking about when you were on the table and you were angry, she was expressing hatred for everybody and everything, just all down the line, just And all of us in there, that we all got angry too,
Yes.
but we were angry at her. See that?
Well, all
Now,
but Rose did the thing Doug did. Rose started, what about that, Carol? And what
Yeah,
about
yeah.
that, Carol? Yeah. And I'm sitting there, she was facilitating and I was holding, I'm looking at Rose, giving her glares and stuff like that. And she was encouraging Carol in this way where Carol just really hung it all out.
Wonderful.
But that was a real turning point, because then we got together as a group and had to come to see that,
Yes.
that I mean, I could see I was offended, that.
By my anger.
By her
Because it was
anger.
so vitriolic.
And so
you know.
that brought up my anger,
Yes.
Yes.
And this is the hornet's nest that I speak of.
Yeah, that's what we had.
That, and that can happen again. So, and as we go upscale, that hornet nest gets more intensified.
Mhm.
So we have to be really aware of that. Hold that awareness. And always bring it back to self.
Mhm.
This is mine.
This is mine.
What do I do with it? What do I choose to do with it?
Yeah.
Do I choose to play the loop game and blame somebody or something outside of myself? Or do I pull all that energy within me and say, let's enthusiastically go through this in the way that I know, which is very simple: words, memory, emotion. We got the emotion when we got the anger. So we put those three things together simultaneously. If those three things are brought together simultaneously, then we're missing a piece of the puzzle, and the true and full transmutation cannot take place. Bits and pieces of transmutation can take place. So if we get the emotion and we're enthusiastically experiencing the emotion, and yes, it's mine, and just gonna feel it with love and just feel it with joy and enthusiastically go through it, yes, we're going to transmute a piece of that anger. If we get the words to it, it's like, oh, I hate that person, but I really enthusiastically just get those words and the emotion together. Two pieces of the puzzle. But three pieces have to come together fully in order to truly make a transmutation where that is going to move us so fully into the dualistic aspects. We're going to be able to see things so clearly when those three things come together and that transmutation begins to take place. We're going to go through and see from the mental body, outside of time and space, where that actually took root. And from that place, we are then moving from the laws of love and what we spoke of yesterday, which is the forgiveness and the energy of love, energy of forgiveness, little gratitude thrown in there for good measure. And then we will move into the dualistic mental body, where the rules change, and we then use the laws of light.
And that's where the violet flame comes in.
Right.
Yeah, well, it's also exact description of what Gurdjieff was trying to tell us, but we couldn't figure out.
Well, we can't figure out the laws of light until we've gone through the emotional body and transmuted the emotional body to the degree where we can truly access it. We can know it with our mind.
Right. that's
We can read a
exactly-
bunch of books and
Exactly.
intellectually understand it. Great minds can understand from a place of intellectualism. You know, somebody with a high IQ, let's say, somebody
Right.
who's, developed that. And they can understand things from that place. But until it's experiential and until we actually go through that emotional body, till we're truly experiencing that and becoming our own masters by transmuting all that resides there. And we know how that goes. It's not only for our own soul path, it then reaches out into our genetics, the blood that flows through our veins, and all of the patterns that come with that. And then from there, the entity level, so all the hitchhikers and what we've attracted through our soul passage, all of those things, not only the entities where there could be like an actual being that's separate from our own, that that's a kind of a tag along, but also more commonly the entity formation that is more of a ball of energy that exists with us, that is nothing more than a pattern of, you can call it a thought form, that has been fed by us, by our continuation of the same pattern.
Right.
And we feed it like a little baby. And it exists outside of us in our auric field.
Yeah.
And it's connected to us energetically. And we're feeding it, and it's feeding us, and we're just experiencing it over and over and over again. So when we get to that level of energy where we're aware of it, then we move it. We can move that whole body of energy forward. And that energy goes back into, it gets recycled. Nothing is ever lost. So nothing is ever truly destroyed. We say uncreation in body electronics, but uncreation is not a destruction or an ending. It is a recycling of energy. So the energy that no longer serves us as we move forward gets recycled. But what we must do before it gets recycled is transmute it back into pure energy.
Right.
We're
It comes
not-
to us pure,
We use it
we use it.
for our own unfoldment,
Yeah,
and then we transmute it so that it can be sent back and just recycled energy.
On the table yesterday, when, I started with just being, first just sorry that my friend has rejected me, not liked it,
Yes.
that's what I felt. And going through the whole thing of realizing that I was mad at her for judging me, angry there. And then on up that I was judging her and even wanted to hurt her. And I had hurt other people I judged.
Yes,
right?
yes.
And I don't know, that just,
It's a
It's a good
beautiful,
thing, huh?
beautiful realization
Yeah.
of consciousness.
And that's as you kept going back in.
mhm.
She realized first that she felt angry at Susie and that because Susie was judging her and everything. And then, one time I'm on, and you kept saying, well, have her go back over. And then the last time she went in, she like, oh my God, I hate Susie.
See where that responsibility comes in for our own,
Yeah.
for our part of the, and that's emotional pain. And from that place, if we can enthusiastically embrace that, it's in, this honesty, how in the Pink Book I say our honesty has to increase. We only know everything at the level of emotionality where we're residing. So, our prayer changes. Our honesty has to be increased. What we see as honesty in apathy or grief isn't the same level of honesty we're going to have to be required to offer ourselves in anger and pain. That anger must, it requires, to move out of anger, requires a lot of self-honesty. You know, pain that takes us right into the painful.
And you're talking about emotional pain,
Yes.
and above anger, right? Above anger.
Well, you see, there's pain all the way along. There's pain in every level.
Yes.
But as, you know, just like honesty increases, well, the level of pain that we can access in apathy
Right.
is very different than the level of pain we can access in fear, different again in anger, and very different. I mean, we can get, like, the painful level of pain,
Mm.
It's really painful, huh?
very. And that is, and then we only move when that's still in the emotional body.
Right.
That is directly connected with our connection into the mental body. And when we get to that level of pain, like, you know, one of the things you may have heard me say it before, but one of the ways we can see this sequence in body electronics is how much physical pain we experience as we move through the flow sheet. And that physical level of pain becomes more and more and more. We got on the table and SDOs were held, and we had the level of physical pain. If we were able to access that, our own physical pain that's residing in our bodies right now, if we were able to access that in the SDOs, nobody would ever go any further.
Probably come back.
I'm sitting here all by myself. Because it has to be that way. That's the healing crisis. We have to go back through things in order, in sequence, logic in sequence. It has to go be, gone back in sequence. As we brought it into our bodies, then we will go back through it.
Illia? Okay,
Yes.
go ahead. Oh, the mental body, is that where, when you've accessed the mental body, is that where you see duality?
Yes.
And that's, okay, so
Yeah.
I'm just looking for a more in-depth explanation of the mental body.
Yes, and that's exactly where we're going. Yesterday we talked mostly about the emotional body. The mental body is when we can enthusiastically embrace our pain to the point of then we will see both sides. You've read Pain is a Capstone to Memory. So when pain essentially opens up that capstone, and that happens within the pituitary. You know, pain vibrates in the pituitary. So when we are experiencing the emotional pain from every level, we don't have to get to the sixth level in the sixth level of pain to experience the mental body. We're experiencing the mental body whenever we get to pain and enthusiastically embrace the pain.
In the lower.
Exactly. We are moving out of time and space from that level of awareness. So in the lower levels of emotionality, you will see just a flash sometimes. So when we get to the pain, you will see it'll almost be like just a picture, or maybe just a color, or we'll see something like that. That's why we say grab onto that. That's actually the mental body. You're entering the mental body, but you can only see it from that level of emotionality. That's why we have to get through the emotions. Yes, Dennis?
Yesterday, when in my thing on the table, I was doing a lot of stuff with dealing with my